Welcome to Concentration, Maintaining High Performance States. I'm Jeffrey Hodges. This cassette is the fifth in a series of Sportsmind audio cassettes on mental conditioning and emotional training for improved sports performance. The information contained on this cassette and on the others in the Sportsmind series will provide you with practical skills and techniques that you can use now to significantly improve your sports performances. No matter what your sport is, the skills of the sports mind will help you get more out of your game and out of yourself. If you're serious about playing to a higher standard in your sport, then I also strongly recommend attending a Sportsmind workshop, or better still, a Sportsmind holiday training program. These workshops and holiday camps allow you to experience all the Sportsmind techniques and skills firsthand and apply them in practice to your sport. For information on Sportsmind workshops or Sportsmind holidays, or if you'd like to obtain further Sportsmind tapes, please contact me at the address provided on the label of this cassette. Finally, as with all the Sportsmind tapes, Side A of this tape provides a spoken summary of a key area of mental conditioning, while Side B comprises a practical sports improvement, relaxation and visualization exercise. Obviously, it's suggested that for safety's sake you don't listen to Side B while driving a car or doing anything else that might require your full attention. Secondly, as with all the Sportsmind tapes, I suggest that you listen to this tape a minimum of 6 times at spaced intervals. Research has shown that most people forget over half of everything they hear today within 24 hours and only remember 2% of what they heard a week later unless they re-listen or involve themselves in the listening in an active way. So please do involve yourself actively in listening to this material. I've provided stop and think pauses at regular intervals, and I encourage you to stop the tape at these places and think about how what I've just spoken about relates to you and your sport. Doing this will allow you to personalize the knowledge and practical techniques to your sport situations. So now, look forward to 60 minutes of Sportsmind instruction that will positively enhance your sports performances. I want to begin by asking you to think about what techniques you currently use to maintain your concentration or to refocus yourself if you lose concentration. What strategies do you have available to you? Stop the tape for a couple of minutes and think about this now. Welcome back. I've found that most sports people usually use some kind of verbal commands, saying to themselves things like, "Come on, concentrate," or "Get it together." However, this strategy is often not very effective because, as you will see in my later tape on visualization, our body responds best to visual imagery, not verbal commands. Talking to yourself also encourages an internal focus where what is needed is external concentration. I introduced a simple and far more effective way to regain your concentration in the first Sportsmind tape. The present moment technique developed by Dr. John Curtis, in which you spend 10 seconds paying attention to some external visual aspects of your surroundings, 10 seconds to your breathing, and then 10 seconds visualizing success from an in-body perspective. In this tape, I want to introduce you to some other ideas and techniques for improving your concentration and maintaining positive performance states throughout the match. State. One of the most important concepts in performance psychology that every athlete wants to know about and master is the idea of state. State is all about how you're currently experiencing the world. You know and have experienced many different states: anger, sadness, boredom, jealousy, happiness, determination, excitement, and so on. Yet States don't just jump on you out of the blue, do they? You don't just suddenly experience violent rage or deep loneliness for no reason, do you? States are effects. They're a consequence of something that you're doing in your mind. States are also processes. They're not static. You change state regularly throughout the day, don't you? Now we can ask two questions about state that are particularly relevant and important to all sports people. Firstly, what states are most useful for success in your sport? And secondly, how can we deliberately create those states in ourselves? Stop the tape for a few minutes and answer these questions for your sport. What states lead to success in my sport? And how can I build those states in myself? How do I build those states in myself? Stop the tape and do this now. Welcome back. What states did you think of for your sport? Some examples of states that sports people usually mention are relaxed, confident, positive, focused, determined, aggressive, and perhaps hungry to win. Feeling a sense of enjoyment and happiness or fun when playing also rates highly for most successful athletes. However, few people ever answer the second question. How do I create these states in myself? This is because for many people, their state is not under conscious control. They just react to external circumstances and situations rather than choosing a state that would be most useful to them in a given context and deliberately building that state in themselves prior to performing. They just leave their state to chance and hope they perform well. This isn't good enough. It's important to know how to create states in ourselves so you can manage your own state, so you can deliberately build the most resourceful and capable states in yourself before you even step onto the playing field, tennis court, swimming pool, podium, or wherever you perform. So let me ask you to stop and think again. How do we create states in ourselves? What are the building blocks of state? Stop the tape and think about this again for a few minutes now. Building blocks of state. Welcome back. I've identified 3 major building blocks of state, and whatever answers you came up with, you'll probably find that they fit into one of the following 3 categories: physiology, ideology, or environment. The building blocks of state are our physiology, or our body posture, breathing and movements, our ideology, or what you're imagining and saying to yourself, and the environment around you, both physical and social environment. Let's look at each of these in a little more detail now. Physiology. It's easy to recognize how our physiology, our body posture, breathing, and the way we move affects our state. For example, think how differently you feel if you hang your head, breathe shallowly, slouch, and slowly shuffle around, compared to holding your head up high, breathing deeply with an erect posture, and move quickly. How is your state right now? Are you feeling energized and enthusiastic about your life and about your sport? If you're not, try changing your physiology now. You can change how you feel quickly and easily simply by changing how you move, how you breathe, and how you hold your head. Take a few minutes right now and stand up straight. Take 5 deep breaths and walk briskly around the room. Stop the tape and do this exercise right now. Welcome back. Did it make a difference to how you're feeling? It's a simple thing, but changing your physiology is one of the quickest and easiest ways to change your state, isn't it? Let's move on to ideology. Your ideology is the combination of what you're imagining and saying to yourself in your mind. And again, this has a powerful impact on your state. For instance, for someone to feel nervous and unconfident about asking someone out on a date, what kinds of things would they imagine? What would they say to themselves? If you imagined being rejected, or worse still, laughed at when you asked them out, and you said to yourself, "Oh, they'll never want to go out with me, I'm not interesting enough," it's easy to see how you could quickly create that negative state, isn't it? Now relate this concept to your sport. Think of a time you were playing really well and were feeling confident and focused. What kinds of things were you saying to yourself? What did you imagine? Why not do these things deliberately to create the kinds of positive states you want to experience in your sport every time you play? What could you imagine and say to yourself to create more confidence? What could you imagine and say to yourself to build more hungriness to win or be more relaxed and positive? What could you imagine and say to yourself to feel more enjoyment in your training and competition? Stop the tape and take a few minutes to think about this now.